Hi everyone, I'm Christine Rodriguez. This time, I will share to you the analysis of the West African literature, which is the Sundiata epic. Without much ado, let's begin. Before everything else, let's know the relationship or the significance of this epic to the history of Africans. So, it shows maternal support. The importance of the mother is underscored by the narrator, who says the child is worth no more than the mother is worth. Also, the epic shows the foundation for a powerful and wealthy African. It also shows progressive values of Africans and their power was hereditary. In addition, it reflects nationalism, especially to the Battle of Krina, wherein he dresses as the hunter king. Isa pa, it represents the ideal characteristics of a good ruler in West Africa, that an ideal leader is expected to be brave, since he is entrusted with the responsibilities of leading people through adversities and other challenging moments. Besides, Sundiata depicted as a faithful Muslim and was sacrificed to good ones. He became the face of the spread of Islam in southwest Africa. Furthermore, the continual workings of prophecy linking the hero with an African sense of destiny and spiritual forces can illustrate traditional African religion. The traditional African concept of right action also stands out. In the tale, correct action brings rewards, while incorrect or evil action reaps ruination. Moreover, is or being a strong woman. The epic's strong-willed woman or the determined woman to do what she wants, although the society is against them, can provide insights into the role of woman in traditional African society. Also, it shows how African people govern, since the whole epic can lead to an understanding of Sudanic kingship and empire building. Finally, Sundiata follows the traditional African religious practice of offering animal sacrifices. And in thanksgiving for his victory at Krina, he sacrifices at the sacred stone and drinks from a sacred pool that causes him to radiate like a star. So those are the significance and relationship of Africans' history that we could see in this epic. So this time, let's explore about the title. Sundiata, an epic of Old Mali, tells the history of Sundiata Keita, founder of Mali Empire in the 30th century. The tale is an epic history recorded from oral tradition of Sundiata's early life and rise to power, meaning this epic doesn't have an author. It is an epic that relates a mythical version of Sundiata's life, which includes magical and other supernatural elements. Then it is the work of the griots of West Africa. Griots are class of storytellers, historians, and advisors who have preserved the histories and wisdom of past generations. So the status as a griot is hereditary, passed down through families along with the stories and songs of their repertoire. Their tools in this task are the spoken word and musical performance rather than writing. So like many epics, Sundiata is meant to be sung and performed. Sundiata doesn't appear to adhere to any regular meter of stresses nor syllables, and most versions are told in everyday vernacular language. So the audience doesn't participate except to honor the griot with gifts at the end of the performance. So the story of Sundiata appears in the oral literature, as I was said, of many West African tribes and in many languages. Moving on is the griots. They are the mind of the people. It is a fine arts of Africa. It is so highly regarded and appreciated that some culture groups designate it as a profession. So historically, in pre-colonial Africa, griots played a very important role in many cultures, for they were speaking documents, historians who work from memory alone. Since there were no written historical records, the griots memorized the customs, traditions of the kings. They also occupied the chair of history in a village or kingdom. They performed the highly honored task of memorizing and retelling the births, deaths, marriage, wars of the people and its ancestors, as well as songs, stories, proverbs, and histories. So to become a counselors to kings, young griots spent many years touring the kingdom's villages and listening to the teachings of the master griots. Here, let us know the sample words of the griot Mamado Koyate. It is a part of the epic Sundiata. I am a griot. It is I, Jelly Mamado Koyate, son of Bento Koyate and Jelly Kedian Koyate, master in the art of eloquence. So when we say eloquence, meaning it is fluent and persuasive in speaking. Then next, I derive my knowledge from my father, Deli Kejan, who also got it from his father. History holds no mystery for us. Next, I teach kings the history of their ancestors, so that the lives of the ancients might serve them as an example. For the world is old, but the future springs from the past. Last, my word is pure and free of all untruth. It is the word of my father. It is the word of my father's father. I will give you my father's words, just I received them. Royal griots do not know what lying is. Besides, I have a story outline for you to easily comprehend the flow of the story. This was taken from YouTube, but I just had some modifications. So let's continue. First is the prophecy. Ruler of the Mandika people, Magan Konfata, had a son with Sagolon. Then child Sundiata is crippled, despised, and ignored. Next, second is the strength. Sundiata used an iron rod and walked upright. Sundiata learned to walk. Sundiata brought the baobab tree to his mother, then became a fierce hunter, the lion. Third, Magan Konfata's first wife Sasoma has her son enthroned. She sends Bala to make peace with Sasoma Kante, but Bala is held captive. Then exiles Sundiata and his mother Sagolon far to the west. Fourth, leadership and a call to return. Somaro of the Soso people captured Mali and other kingdoms who sent for Sundiata. Then Sundiata reached out the spirits for the guidance and aid. Then lastly, a great battle. With the help of Mema army and Fakoli, Sundiata confronted Somaro. Then the Battle of Krina on 1235, Sundiata was victorious and began the Mali Empire. So that is the outline of the epic. Next, summary. Although we have known its outline, let's take it still, for there are some additional informations here. So it begins with a prophecy made to Magan Konfata, the ruler of the small state of Mali. While Narimagan and his courtiers are sitting in his courtyard, hunters appear from a foreign land. They tell Magan Konfata that he will have a glorious son, but only after he marries an ugly woman. Several years pass before a second set of hunters arrives to tell Magan Konfata an even stranger tale. The old man made them promise that when offered any maiden in the kingdom as their prize, they would choose the ugliest. They chose Sagolon Keju. a hunchback with enormous eyes, so they present her to Magan Confata. So Magan Confata already has a beautiful wife, Sasoma Barete, and a healthy young man, Dankaran Toman. But remembering the prophecy, he takes Sagolon Kedyu as his second wife. When Sagolon became pregnant, Magan Confata awaits the great son who will succeed him, but young Sundiata, whose head is too large for his body rather, is lame and crawls. People laugh and stare, especially Sasoma Barete, who wants her own son to become the king of Mali. Thinking that the prophecy has yet to be fulfilled, Magan Confata impregnates Sogolon Kedju again, but this time she bears him a daughter. Although disappointed in Sundiata, an aging Magan Confata appoints his lame son as his heir. But after his death, the Royal Council of Mali overrules Nare Magan's request and names Dankaran Toman as the ruler, with Sasoma Barete to act as a queen regent for the underaged prince. She uses this power to continually humiliate both Sagolon Kedju and Sundiata. One day, after Sasoma cruelly berates Sagolon because her lame son cannot fetch some leaves of the baobab tree, the angry Sagolon strikes her son, spurred into action by his mother's despair. Sundiata sends for magical iron rod that have been waiting for just this occasion. Lifting himself and walking for the first time, he plucks an entire baobab tree from the earth and brings it to his mother. Now, Sasoma, who sees Sundiata's growing strength and popularity, is a threat to her own son. When Sasoma tries to get the 9 witches of Mali to destroy Sundiata, Sogolon Kedju decides it is time to leave Mali. In exile, Sundiata serves other kings. In the kingdom of Mema, he rises to become the adopted son and heir apparent to the ruler. But while things are going well for Sundiata, the growing power of Sasoma Kante, the evil king of the Sosas, overwhelms Mali. He makes the weak Dankaran Toman his vassal, oppresses the people, and takes hostage Bala Faseke, Sundiata's griot, or tutor and advisor, and his half-sister Nana Triban. Mali now turns to Sundiata for deliverance. Leading troops out of Mema, Sundiata is quickly joined by his old playmates, now the chieftains of Mali. The struggle for Mali takes place on 2 levels, the spiritual and the military. The Battle of Krina, where Sundiata defeats Sumarok decisively. Then, the epic closes with a gathering of kings near the town of Kaba. Here, king after king pays homage to Sundiata as the empire of Mali is formed. In the glorious celebration that follows, all look to Sundiata to establish a period of peace, justice, and prosperity on the broad grasslands of northwestern Africa. Then the hero has overcome personal and public adversity to fulfill the prophecy made by the original hunters who visited the court of Magan Confata. Moreover is the characters. First is Magan Confata, a handsome and good king who is loved by all people. He is the father of Dankaran Toman, Sundiata, and Manding Bori. He also has 3 daughters, and people everywhere know him because of his beautiful appearance. Next, Sasoma Barete. She is the first wife of king and mother of Dankaran Toman. She is ambitious, greedy, and jealous. Sogolon Kedyu, second wife of King Fata and an ugly mother of Sundiata. She is also called as the Buffalo Woman from the land of Do. Dankaran Toman, the first son of king. He is handsome and lively. But as Sundiata grows in power, Dankaran is revealed to be a weak and cowardly king because he shows his weakness by collapsing in fright, and when he attempts to support Fakoli Koroma's rebellion, she is defeated and runs away, leaving Mali undefended. Through all this, he proves to be weak and cowardly ruler. Next, Sundiata. He is the second son of the king. He is the protagonist called the Lion Child and known as Sundiata Kita, Magan Sundiata, Marijata, and Sogolon Jata. He is not handsome like his father, yet a great ruler. Next is Manding Bori. He is faithful and honest. He is Sundiata's best friend and younger half-brother. He is the third son of the king, who was prophesied as the right hand to a powerful king. He accompanies Sundiata from childhood, traveling to exile and on the way back to Mali. Lastly is Somaro Kante. He is evil, ambitious, and arrogant, sorcerer king. Kings fear him for his ability to kill swiftly, so they do Somaro's wishes. He uses evil magic to protect himself and provides the hardest test of Sundiata's skill and virtue. Next is the setting. Mali Empire, namely the cities of Niani, Wagadu, Sise, Mema, Tabon, and Soso around 1216 to 1236. Then the plot. Exposition. Sundiata is born and proclaimed the Lion Child. Rising action. Sundiata walks for the first time. Climax. Sundiata defeats Somaro Kante at the Battle of Krina. Falling action. Sundiata establishes the Mali Empire, and the end. Sundiata establishes laws to govern his new empire. So here we go. The themes that I came up are: a hero never gives up, because Sundiata didn't surrender during the time when he couldn't walk. Despite the fact that he can't walk, he still tried his best to stand with the use of iron rod. Besides, he defeated the sorcerer king, Somaro, knowing that he is super powerful. Next, ambition makes people blind, because Sasoma had a strong desire to make his son a king, to be enthroned and exiled, both Sogolon and her son. So Sasoma did everything, although she hurted the people around her. In addition, we have the power of good has ever been able to conquer the power of bad. It is visible that Sundiata is good, then he won the battle of Krina. Somaro is bad, then he was defeated by the good Sundiata. Lastly, prophecies are meant to be happened, like the king Magan Konfata married an ugly woman. Also, he had a strong and glorious son who succeeded him. Moreover, we have here the literary devices. First, simile. Pulling himself up on the iron rod, he felt as exhausted as if he had just run a marathon on a hot day. The snake has no legs, yet it is as swift as any other animal that has four. Kingdoms are like trees. Mighty rivers begin as small streams. Next, personification. After the war of mouths, swords had to decide the issue. Next, symbolisms. These are mostly natural portents, meaning a sign or warning that something, especially something momentous or calamitous, is likely to happen. So, number one, violent and impressive weather symbolizes Sundiata. Then Sundiata symbolizes the lion child. Thunder and lightning, natural symbol that foreshadows the strength and importance of Sundiata. It represents the approval of heaven, nature, or the gods. Thunder and lightning greet his birth in the lion child and describe Sundiata's charge into the battle in the return. Next, Sagolon Kedyu, she symbolizes Buffalo Woman because it is claimed that she possesses the spirit of a buffalo, famous buffalo of the land of Do. Then great black bird in the sky, a sign of misfortune, because an omen means a happening believed to be a sign or warning of a future event that informs the sorcerer King Somarocante's defeat is the appearance of the blackbird. Next, three owls symbolize the protective hand of fate on Sagolon and Sundiata. The owls protected Sagolon from attack by sorcerers sent by Sasoma. It also symbolizes mystical messengers when Sundiata and Somaro communicate before the decisive battle of Krina through the owls. Next, the tree. It symbolizes the power and strength of Mali. It represents diligence and patience because silk cotton tree is born from a tiny seed. In other words, great things come from small beginnings and moreover, they take time to develop. Besides, the tree symbolizes Sundiata whose greatness is not apparent in his early life and takes many years to manifest. Lastly is the baobab tree, symbolizes Sundiata's home and a call to return. Then the conflicts are man versus self. For Sundiata have an inner struggle with his physical disability. Man versus man, since Sasoma Berete abhor Sogolon and Mari Jata. And Dankaran hates Sundiata because Sundiata became the king, knowing that the oldest usually gets inheritance, but the younger siblings gets it, which angers the oldest sibling. Lastly is man versus society. The village rejects Sundiata and believed him to be a useless cripple. Point of view. Third person omniscient because of the usage of she, he, and they. Moreover, it was narrated by the griot Mamado Koyate. He occasionally addresses the reader directly. The narrator watches the story but not in the story. Besides, he knows the thoughts and feelings of all the characters in the epic. So that's it. That is the literary analysis of the epic Sundiata of West Africa, specifically Saharan Africa. Hoping that you've learned something and God bless us all.